Right now, somewhere in the Arctic, in water colder than your freezer, something is alive that was born before the printing press, before Columbus reached the Americas, before the Black Death swept Europe, before the Magna Carta was signed. It is still alive. It is almost completely blind. Its flesh is toxic enough to kill a sled dog. It moves slower than you walk to your kitchen. It waited 150 years to have its first child, and it is, right now, in the dark, the oldest living vertebrate on Earth. This is the Greenland shark, and nothing about it, not one single thing, is normal. And yes, this is real. Here is the problem. This animal breaks every rule vertebrate biology uses to predict survival. Speed predicts dominance. The Greenland shark is slower than a walking human. Sensory acuity predicts successful hunting. It cannot see. Early reproduction predicts genetic fitness. It waits 150 years to start. Non-toxic body chemistry is considered basic for ecological success. Its flesh will kill you. And yet, it is the longest living vertebrate ever recorded. Not one individual, the species, routinely. So the question is not just, how does an almost blind, poisonous animal that moves at walking speed become the oldest vertebrate on Earth? The question is, what does that mean for every assumption you hold about what survival actually looks like? Because here is the claim, and it sounds impossible. Every single thing that looks wrong about this animal is what keeps it alive. To understand how, you need to start with how we even know how old it is, because that part turns out to be strange too. The year is 2016. A research vessel, somewhere off Greenland. A net is being hauled in. Inside it, 5 meters of pale, motionless shark, a female, dead in the net. Now, the standard way to carbon date a fish is growth rings. Same principle as a tree. You count the rings in the vertebrae or fin spines and you read the age. The Greenland shark has neither. Its skeleton is cartilage, too soft to form rings. There is nothing to count. So the researchers try something no one has done before. They remove the lens from the shark's eye. The proteins at its center form during fetal development, before the shark is born, and they never change. They are metabolically inert for the animal's entire life, locked into the chemical signature of the water at the moment of her birth. The researchers are holding a fossil inside a living animal. They date it. She was born somewhere around 1504. Leonardo da Vinci was still painting. The institution you work for almost certainly didn't exist yet. This shark was already alive when the first permanent English settlement reached North America. She was alive for all of it. And before you assume this is a statistical outlier, it isn't. The same study examined 28 Greenland sharks. The oldest confirmed, 392 years old. Plus or minus 120. Even at the youngest estimate, she is the oldest confirmed vertebrate ever recorded. The species does this routinely, which means the question isn't whether, it's how. She grows at 1 centimeter per year. In the 4 years it takes you to finish a degree, she has grown less than the width of your hand. 150 years to reach puberty. Most animals get a childhood. She got a geological era. But here is what the science is beginning to show. This radical slowness is not a malfunction. It is the mechanism. By running the entire biological system at a fraction of normal vertebrate speed, the metabolism, the cell division, the energy expenditure, the animal reduces the oxidative damage that ages tissue and suppresses the replication errors that cause cancer. The slowness is not incidental, it is the genome's primary strategy. But here's the thing. The age is actually the least strange part, because to understand why this animal works, you need to look at the parts that look broken. Start with the eye. Up to 99% of adult Greenland sharks carry a parasite that drills into the cornea and feeds on the eye for the rest of the shark's life. Look at one, and the verdict seems obvious. It's blind. Except the verdict is wrong. In 2026, researchers looked closer. The cornea is destroyed, but the retina behind it is intact, fully functional, no degeneration, even in sharks over a century old. And where this animal lives, below 200 meters, sunlight never reaches anyway. The cornea was never the point. The shark hunts by smell. I know what you're thinking. That Parasite is still a disaster. Maybe not. The leading idea is that it glows, a faint light dangling in front of the shark's face in total darkness. A lure? We're not certain yet, but the animal that supposedly can't see may be fishing with its own eye. Now the flesh. Greenland shark meat is poisonous, loaded with trimethylamine oxide and urea, toxic to most mammals. Sled dogs that ate it raw in the 19th century couldn't stand. Ravens that scavenged it staggered around as if drunk. Eat it untreated and you get something close to severe alcohol poisoning. And yet, people eat it for centuries. In Iceland, it's a national dish, hakkarl, the shark, fermented and dried for up to 12 weeks until the toxin is gone and what's left is safe. Reeking of ammonia, but safe. Served at midwinter like a holiday roast. In Inuit legend, the first shark was born from a urine-soaked rag thrown into the sea by a goddess. Somewhere in Reykjavik right now, someone is telling a tourist the smell is fine if you breathe through your mouth. And here's what matters. Those same toxins are a biological antifreeze. They hold the shark's protein stable in water below freezing. The poison isn't a flaw, it's what lets it live in the cold. Then the genome. In 2024, scientists sequenced it for the first time, and it's enormous. 6.45 billion base pairs, roughly twice the size of yours. Two things stand out. First, 81 duplicated copies of the genes that repair DNA wired into a single connected network. Second, and this is the one that matters, a rewritten version of a gene called TP53. You might not know the name. You know what it does. TP53 is the body's main defense against cancer, the guardian of the genome. When it fails in us, cells copy their own errors, and that, often, is cancer. You're carrying that exact gene right now. Yours just shipped without the upgrades. The Greenland shark didn't lose this gene. It modified it, a change that AI modeling predicts alters how the protein handles damaged DNA. Elephants live long, partly because they carry extra copies of TP53. This shark appears to have pushed it further than any animal we've studied. The gene that kills us is the one it has been quietly improving for 400 million years. Now the part that's harder to sit with. It's listed as vulnerable. Its population down by as much as half. Around 3,500 are killed every year, not hunted, just caught by accident in nets meant for other fish. That's one every 2.5 hours, a clock that never stops. And as Arctic ice melts, it destroys the habitat and opens the deep water to fleets that couldn't reach it before. Here's why this is a different kind of problem. This animal takes 150 years to mature, then carries its young for up to 18. It cannot rebound. The ones killed this year won't be replaced in your lifetime, or your children's, or theirs. I know, you didn't come here for conservation guilt. So forget guilt. Think about information. This animal spent 400 million years building that genome. It's the only thing alive running that version of DNA repair. When it's gone, the blueprint goes with it, and we've only just started reading it. Which brings us to the part scientists find most interesting and most uncomfortable. Because the more we understand what this animal is doing, the more we realize we can't use it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. So if every weakness is really a survival strategy, the obvious next question is whether we can borrow it. This animal has solved DNA repair. It carries the upgraded version of the exact system that fails in us. So why can't we just take it? Copy the genes, borrow the mechanism, fix ourselves? Because it doesn't work like that. The shark's genome is twice the size of ours. Those 81 repair genes, that rewritten TP53, the rest of it, none of it evolved in isolation. It accumulated over hundreds of millions of years in a specific body under a specific kind of pressure. You can't lift one gene out of that system and drop it into a human cell and expect it to do anything. The cellular context is completely different. The genome is not a plug-in. And here's the honest part. No one is trying to make you live 400 years. What the research is actually doing is smaller and more useful. It's mapping which genes control repair, comparing the shark to short-lived animals, to us, and looking for targets. Not for longer life, for better life. The years you spend healthy rather than declining. As one team put it in 2025, the goal isn't to make people live longer, it's to keep them well for longer. The shark isn't a blueprint, it's a proof of concept. Proof that a vertebrate body can run this cleanly for this long. That proof is the part you can't replace. And we should be honest about how early this is. The genome papers are still preprints. The change to TP53, the one that might matter most, has so far only been predicted by AI models. No one has tested it in a living cell yet. We do not actually understand how this animal avoids cancer. But a 400-year-old shark has forced us to ask the question. And that, on its own, may be the most important thing. It overturned everything you assumed about what survival actually looks like. And all of that depends on one thing, the shark still being here. And right now, that is not a given. Look at what this animal actually is. It found a solution to aging so effective it has barely changed in hundreds of millions of years. It never optimized for dominance, not for speed, not for sharper senses. It optimized for one thing, endurance, written into every cell, across a span of time we can barely imagine. And it worked. The shark is still here. Everything that looked stronger, faster, and sharper than it has come and gone. Right now, it is still out there, in water colder than your freezer, at a depth where light never reaches. Something is moving through that darkness at the pace of a slow walk. Mostly blind, steering by smell, older than the country you live in, older than most languages you've ever heard spoken. It is not in a hurry. It has never once needed to be. And it isn't the only one. There's a whole channel of animals that survived by being everything we're taught a survivor shouldn't be. And once you've seen it work here, you won't stop wondering which weakness is keeping the rest of them alive. The Greenland shark didn't survive for 400 years by being the fastest, the strongest, or the sharpest-eyed thing in the ocean. It survived by outlasting them. Slow is not the same as broken. There's something out there in the dark, older than every institution you've ever trusted, that has never once agreed with you.